Hello, everybody. My name is Christine Schiavone, and our show is Spiritual Exploration. Today, we're going to talk about current events in the world and in astrology. And I have with me a dear friend and renowned astrologer, Mary Silvernail. Hello, Mary, and welcome to the show once again.
Hi, Christine. Thank you so much for inviting me.
It's always
once
my
again.
pleasure to have you. Always a pleasure.
I love doing shows with you because
I
we
love
always
doing
have
shows.
fun.
That's right,
You
we
know?
do. And I love doing shows with you too. And you are so informative. You are one of the best astrologers in the world, I'm sure.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wow. Thank you. Well, I was mentioning to you that I've been watching a lot of different charts that are very pertinent right now, especially in 2024, you know. And as far as like what's going on in the stars right now, it's extremely important to understand that the main player, there's a few main players here regarding the planets, but the biggest problem right now is the planet Mars. And the planet Mars is the warrior. And the planet Mars is what causes trouble, aggravation, upsetment. And what we've been dealing with is that the planet Mars has been in Gemini. And when it's in Gemini, it can create like what we're dealing with now with all this negative talk that's on the news,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And the candidates really about each other
Yeah.
and all that kind of thing. And everybody being cranky with each other too. Haven't you noticed it?
Well, there's a lot of negative stuff going on now that, all right, we've always had negative, but this is like shooting up to the stars with the negativity.
Literally, right?
Literally. That's right.
Literally.
That's
Well,
right.
actually, it is the aspect of the stars. And the reason that I say that is because astrology is truly a science. It truly is a science.
Oh, sure.
It's an art, but it is also a science. And a lot of people are not aware of that. They think that I'm just psychically saying these things. True, I am a psychic medium also, but the information that I talk about, especially regarding any kind of world current events, is scientific. It's astrological, the actual movement of the planets and the degree.
And astrology goes back for thousands of years. Even Columbus used it.
Yes.
He used it with the Indians.
Listen, you're giggling. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So go ahead. I
Well,
want to hear this.
I don't know if you know the story or if anybody, our audience knows the story, but the Indians were supplying Columbus and his men with food.
Yeah.
And after a while, they were getting tired of doing it. So they went to Columbus and they said, we're not gonna feed you anymore. We're tired of doing this, and we're cutting you off." And Columbus said, "Really?" Now he happened to know, because he was also an astrologer of sorts, and he happened to know that the next day they were going to have a total eclipse of the moon,
Yes.
and where it's going to go completely black.
Yeah.
He knew that was coming the next day, and he said to the Indians, "If you cut us off, we're going to make the sun go away forever, and you're never going to grow any crops for yourselves either."
Wow.
So the next day, they have this total eclipse, and the Indians come running to him, and they say, all right, make the sun come back. We'll give you the food.
Well, yeah, think about it. Wow, that's pretty cool. I didn't realize
You
that.
didn't know that story?
I didn't know that story.
Well, now you do.
Yeah, now I do. That was interesting.
Yeah, he was
Christine.
into astrology. He was watching the stars. He was watching what was going on with the planets.
They
he
they
knew.
had to navigate that way.
That's
was the way
right.
they navigated.
That's right.
Over the seas.
Yes.
Yes.
So he knew what he was doing, and he knew what was coming. But the Indians had no idea. They weren't into anything like that.
No.
So
No.
when it happened, they believed that Columbus made the sun go away and it wasn't going to come back and nobody was going to eat.
Actually, Native American astrology is about the animals,
Yeah, yeah.
So it isn't about, like,
The
looking
stars
at
and
the
the moon
eclipse
and
and
all that. Yeah.
things like that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, of course, well, the Native American people have always looked up to the heavens because this is really where we came from.
That's
The
right.
star people.
We are made out of star material, they say.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Yes, we are. And we all are. And
That's
so
right.
are the animals.
That's right. Every living thing.
And the fish and So, but in reference to, let's see, how did we start talking about Columbus? Oh, when you were talking about eclipses, what came up for me is the fact that many times there were wars that were actually planned around an eclipse,
Really?
a total darkening.
Really?
Yes, of the
Wow.
sun. So, well, yeah, because I mean, thousands of years, even all the way back, before the birth of Christ, even thousands of years before that.
Sure.
I mean, the Greeks and the Egyptians watched the stars. Look at the three pyramids, right? And when we
Yes.
have the Lion's Gate come up
Oh, yeah.
with the three stars that align on August the 8th, I mean, that's amazing to me.
A lot of things in ancient times have been built to mark either summer solstice or winter solstice,
Right?
where the light will come in at a certain time and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
so-
Mayans also. Well, the thing is, though, right now, what we're dealing with, the biggest player astrologically, is the planet Mars. As I mentioned, Mars in Gemini, and it's going to be going retrograde. First, it's going to move into Cancer, and when Mars moves into Cancer, that's even a worse situation. So
Oh,
don't
wonderful.
worry. There's a happiness, a rainbow at the end of the.
Oh, that's good.
At the end of all this, thank God. But this explains what we're dealing with, because Gemini is ruled by the planet Mercury.
Right.
Gemini has everything to do with communication,
Ah,
right?
okay.
And that's why having Mars in Gemini, all this talk that's been going on, all this aggravation, this, that just keeps coming out of everybody's mouths, that's why that's going on like that. But when it moves into the sign of Cancer, that can be very detrimental, because Mars is very uncomfortable in Cancer, and that can create a bit of fighting, okay? A lot
Among
of
who?
fighting. Well, let's look what's happening right now in our country, which, by the way, our country was born July the 4th, 1776.
Which makes it a Cancer.
Cancerian.
So is the city, of New York.
Oh, really?
We're Cancer too, yes, the city of New
I
York.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay, thank you. That's
I don't know what
nice.
the date is, but it's a Cancer.
Oh, okay, Cancerian too. Well, but the United States is the sun sign of Cancer. And now to have Mars going through the sign of Cancer is creating even more upset. Now, October 20th, okay, today is October 18th, 2024.
Day. 20th. But go ahead.
It was a little secret.
That's right.
So anyway, but October 20th is when Mars moves into Cancer. And so you're going to see that things are going to get ramped up. Now, that's for the world, but especially for the United States.
Right.
So now all this fighting among ourselves, because look at how the country is so divided
Oh, yeah.
right now.
That's true.
And I got to tell you something. Bottom line, this is going to continue all the way up to, we're going to deal with Mars back and forth. It's going to go retrograde, go back into Gemini, then move again into Cancer. This is going to be back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until June of next year. Yes. So,
Wow.
one of the things is November 3rd and 4th, very important days, and that's right before Election Day.
Right.
Okay.
Which is the 5th.
And so things are going to get ramped up even more.
Oh, boy.
With like everybody at each other. Plus, on top of that, okay, so then November 20th through January 20th, okay, from during that period of time is also a very crucial time. You know, you had asked me earlier regarding about the election. And so, I don't know whether or not we'll go into that totally, but I can tell you this. There is going to be some problems. Whoever is elected on Election Day, which I truly feel, and especially from looking at the stars, we're not going to find out right away, okay? This is going to go on for a little bit.
We're not going to know exactly who the winner is right away. Usually we know by the next morning it's being announced.
Remember?
Yes.
There's going to be something that's going to occur. And then what we're dealing with is, and I already had shared with you who I feel, and that is only from looking at astrological charts, who I feel will be the winner. This is nothing personal. This is truly scientific.
Right. He looked
Okay,
at the
where the
charts and
aspects
said
are.
this person is the one whose chart indicates that there's the winner.
But we're still going to have troubles that we're
Oh, of
dealing
course,
with.
because you
all
know
the way
who are
up
not
through
going to accept it right
January
away.
20th.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I'm serious. Yeah, you're darn right. You're darn right.
The opposing party is not going to accept it. They're not going to believe that it went that way, but it will.
I know. Eventually, it will all come to pass. However, even after January 20th, then we're going to be dealing with other issues. And the reason is because February the 24th of 2025, this culprit, Mars, is going to be in exact opposition of the sun of the United States. And that can cause a real, it brings in the warrior, the fight, you know? And what also concerns me, but like I said, so I don't want people to get upset, because once we hit June, the beginning of June, it's like into the second week in June, which is interesting to me because one of the candidates' birthday is like the second week of June.
Yes,
you know?
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So when, but that period of time there, all the way up until like after the first week of June, we're going to have this going back and forth and at odds and banging heads.
Because there's going to be a
Until-
group of people that aren't accepting of what happened.
Yes. My concern is when we are talking about Mars, Christine, when we are talking about Mars in this capacity, with what we're dealing with also with the planet Pluto, which for goodness sake, you and I have talked about so many times on your show, okay? What we've been dealing with the United States, with the planet Pluto. And then now Mars, it's like just adding insult to injury here.
It's like saying that these planets are alive and they know what's going on and they know what they're doing.
Well, oh, you're cute. You know what it is? God is the one that controls the planet's movement. So he's pulling the strings and moving the energy because he knows exactly what he wants.
And he knows exactly how it's going to wind up then.
Of course, God knows
Because
all.
he's controlling it.
Yes, he is.
Wow.
Let's talk about how God is controlling things, if you
Okay.
don't mind. I'm sorry, I have a lot to
I don't
say.
mind talking about God at all.
Let's go back to July,
This
okay,
past July,
to
2024.
Butler, Pennsylvania, okay? On that particular day with that attempt of an assassination.
Oh, that, right.
Yes. Well, I looked at that candidate's chart, okay? And actually, immediately, I went and looked at that when that had happened, when I had heard it on the radio. And what it was is he has the planet Uranus for the first time in his life. That's big changes, big shifts, right?
Uh-huh.
And that only happens once in a lifetime for people. And it's at his midheaven in his 10th house. That means the 10th house is about your standing in the world, your career, your ultimate contribution to the world, okay? And this is very strong energy. He also has lucky Jupiter in there. But what happened was, on that date in July, when that occurred, the planet Mars had hit that Uranus, and that's violence, okay? Sudden violence, and that's what happened. This is what I'm saying. This
Mars
problem
and
with
Uranus colliding, you mean?
Yeah,
Sort of?
Mars, and astrological term is that Mars and Uranus conjunct. They conjunct together. And what happened was that's what's caused a sudden change of events. And I truly feel, and I'm sure you feel this way too, and I'd say half of the United States feels this way, that he was literally spared by God.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you don't come that close, right? Without God stepping in.
That's right.
So,
And that should really be a message to a lot of people. If God is going to step in to save this man, there is a reason.
yes, there is a reason. God does everything for a reason. God is the one who knows the whole,
Everything.
everything. He knows everything. He knows what's coming in the future, I mean, I can look at the planets to see where they're moving, but it's God who knows really the truth and the
That's right.
ultimate end
That's right.
of things that
That's right.
we're talking about. But I immediately that day looked at his chart, and there it was, Mars conjunct Uranus. You talk to any astrologer, they're going to tell you there was no way for then that to be avoided. Which also makes me wonder, I mean, just like President Reagan had his own personal astrologer, a lot of the presidents have. I wish that gentleman would have his own personal astrologer to be able to let him know these things. I'm surprised.
Yeah, watch out for this, watch out for that.
Yeah, well, that's literally what had saved President Reagan's life when he was shot at, because it was predicted ahead of time.
Really?
Yep.
So when he was
So they
shot
already-
at that day, he knew it was coming?
Jean Dixon was
Jean
his
Dixon,
astrologer.
that's right, I remember Jean Dixon.
Yeah, was his astrologer.
Yeah, she wrote a book and everything.
Yeah, and Nancy Reagan was truly intrigued with astrology, but it makes me wonder because it was so prevalent. I'm looking here because I'm looking at that person's chart,
Right.
and it was so prevalent that day. But look, bottom line, I mean, we have lucky Jupiter in that 10th house, and we also have Uranus. So you're talking about major change, and you're also talking about very lucky, beneficial change. Problem is, though, we've been dealing with these retrograde planets. Now, January the 2nd, the planet Uranus will go direct, okay? And then things will be moving in a better direction regarding this particular person that we're talking about, okay? However, there's still going to be this other stuff going on,
Of course.
because of this Mars. Mars is always fighting. The problem is that Mars in the universe is also affecting the rest of the world.
Oh, sure.
And it concerns me with especially what recently we have been dealing with. Is it okay if I say the country?
Sure.
Okay, Iran.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. God, what's going on over there, I don't understand it. It's really a terrible, terrible thing. And I feel bad for those poor people over there.
It's horrendous. I do too. The thing is, though, Christine, that with Mars aspects, especially in where it lies in the chart of Iran and Israel and Netanyahu in their charts, okay? Mars is wreaking havoc. And the thing is that bothers me, it isn't just that area. I also saw something going on right before, towards the end of December, after Christmas, like right before January, the last few days of December.
Yeah.
Regarding a possible move by China.
Move? In what way?
Well, with possibly
Starting something with
Taiwan.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So I saw that, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's so. But there's going to be something. The other thing is October 28th, the aspects astrologically can also indicate some sort of a health situation. For the aspects of the United States, like a major flu or something like that.
That's
This
going to
doesn't
happen? Like we're going to have a epidemic?
not an epidemic, no, but there'll be a lot of you'll hear about a lot of people getting the flu, getting sick. So keep yourself very take a lot of vitamin C and all that, I'd say,
Right. Yeah.
and just keep yourself healthy and be aware of your surroundings and everything like that.
Don't get too close to strange people. You never know what you're going to pick up.
But, anyway, so I've been talking and talking.
Go ahead.
Okay.
You're the one with the information.
Okay. So now I mentioned to you what I see here regarding the one candidate that we talked about with that terrible episode that had happened out in Pennsylvania.
We can say who it is. We're talking about Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
And we can talk about him because so far we still have freedom of speech in this country.
Yes, we do.
And hopefully
so
it'll
far,
stay that way.
let's keep it that way.
That's right. Let's keep it that way.
That's why this election is extremely important.
Very important.
And see, the thing is, everything I see here in his stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, my prediction is, and this is really what I got to tell you. I was telling you before, my friend told me, she said, Mary, you really shouldn't, talk about this. But hey, I can't help it. This is astrologically. I'm not talking
you're
personally.
not giving a personal
It really appears
opinion.
to me that he's going to win.
Okay.
Okay?
Because of his chart.
Because of his chart.
You're saying that what you see in his chart is a winner in this next election.
But without, but not smooth. smooth. And I also feel that there's going to be a period of time where you're going to be hearing after the election that there's something off. And I keep feeling this too. Like maybe when it comes time to have the inauguration, they won't, they won't certify them, or they won't, whatever they have to do.
Anything they can do.
No, I'm really serious.
I am.
Because there is a mortal fear on the other side, which I really feel is unfounded in many ways as far as violence goes, coming like from him, because I don't see that in his chart. However, what I do see, and this is very important too. Remember what I said to you before about the planet Mars is going to be conjunct the sun of the United States, okay? In February. Well, guess what? That's in the 8th house. And what the 8th house has to do with is uncovering secrets.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, a lot is going to come out. I mean, a lot is going to come out. And even after October 28th, you're going to start seeing this happening. I know I'm skipping around with dates here, but I'm telling you, you're going to start seeing little bits. But I'm telling you, come
Coming
February,
out about the opposition, you mean?
a lot of this has to do with very large sums of money.
Wow.
Because that's the 8th house.
Sure. Okay.
Also, it has to do with government. That's the 8th house. Has to do with corruption. That's the 8th house. This is what we're talking about. And uncovering of secrets. That's the 8th house.
Oh,
so
they
I'm
have
talking
plenty.
astrologically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm
Right.
not talking.
It's not your opinion. It's what you see in
and
the
more
stars.
than what people had already previously even thought or imagined in their wildest dreams.
Wow. Boy, are we in for a lot of, I don't know,
Quite an
a lot of
awakening,
stuff
Chris.
going on. Yeah,
Yeah, quite an awakening.
I'll bet. Maybe it will show the country, the part of the country that thinks that these other people are where it's at, that it's not.
Yeah. Because there's been, that wasn't me. Didn't you hear a little?
I heard a little,
Yeah.
maybe it was Brian's phone.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway.
Mine's off, yours is off.
Yeah, I put it on airplane mode.
That's right.
The thing is, too, though, that it isn't just in the United States. We're also talking about, as far as world peace, I feel that there's going to be many situations we're going to be dealing with. There's going to be multiple situations. And I'm talking about from now all the way up until June. And then suddenly it's like peace is going to descend. I mean, throughout
The world.
Yes, we
I
have
have
that.
been hearing for a long time that we are on the brink of seeing about 2,000 years of world peace. And let's hope
Amen.
that happens, because for 2,000 years, everybody can just relax.
Oh my goodness, I know it's really been quite a lot. The other thing is too, though. What concerns me is this is like, Mars doesn't just affect the United States. It's worldwide.
That's right, the whole earth.
And that's why, you'll see, like, the reason that you see, as far as, like, what I do worldwide astrology. I do readings for people all over the world.
Wow.
On the telephone.
Oh, sure.
Or Zoom. But the as far as I watch all the charts of the world, and that was one of the reasons too why I had been watching Pluto for so long. Remember those years ago we were talking about it, and on Tommy's show, I had mentioned that. What year was that? 2015 or something like that?
Who
Yeah.
remembers
Oh, okay.
that far back?
Well, you're the one who pushed me. You were in the studio that day and you asked me, who's going to be the president?
And
Is
you
Hillary
said-
going to win? I said,
No, you predicted then. I remember. I can vouch for that.
everybody
You
thought I was
predicted
crazy.
back then
Yep.
it was going to be Trump, and
Yep.
sure enough,
Well, I pray that astrologically I'm correct again.
I do too.
Okay? I
do
really
too, because anything else happens, our country is doomed.
Well, I feel that God loves the United States
He does
so much.
That's right.
I think it was January 2016.
Thank you, Brian. Brian knows every date.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah, Brian knows. Brian knows all the dates. You ever need a date? Yes, Brian, right? Let me tell
What
you.
day did this
Isn't
happen?
he great?
Yes, he is.
He is. He's
Yes,
wonderful.
that's
Thank
right.
God for Brian, huh?
That's right. He's good. He's good to all of us.
Yes, he is.
He is
We'd
a-
all be lost without Brian.
He is
That's
a
the truth.
wonderful volunteer to my show, the show that you're doing.
Yes.
The one you're doing with Tommy now.
Yes.
Spiritual Journey.
Yeah.
Brian is right there for all
Yeah.
of us. It's a good thing.
Well, he produces the show that I host,
That's right.
Astrology, Angels, and More.
That's right.
We have 5 years now.
I heard. and
Well,
I
nothing
heard
like you, girl.
Heard you got a plaque for it too.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Brian surprised me with it.
I love my plaque.
Do you?
Yeah.
How do you like that logo at the top?
Oh yeah, that was beautiful. Now that originally came off a postcard that a close friend at the time gave me, with a little note on the back telling me how she appreciated my friendship.
I love your show, Christine.
Thank you.
I mean, my goodness, you have given so much information over the years
And that was my
to your
intention.
audience.
My intention in this life of mine on this earth is to leave it better than I found it.
Amen. That's mine too.
Yes,
That's truly.
I'm sure.
It's our soul's purpose.
That's right.
That's why we do what we do,
That's
right?
right. Yes.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
That's right. We do what we do because we want people to be understanding of what is exactly going on that does not meet the eye. As a child, I knew that there was more to this world than we were able to see. And I would tell people, this isn't everything. This isn't everything that meets the, what meets the eye is not everything that's here. And sometimes an adult would look at me like I had 3 heads or something. But, I didn't care. I knew what I knew.
And, something I've learned actually from my son is not to allow yourself to be distracted by maybe what's on the news or something, and really look deeper into a situation and see what is not being talked about, what is really underneath all of that. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And I have to tell you, Chris, it's all going to come out. It's all going to come out. It's
A lot of people are
unbelievable.
going to be surprised.
Yes, they'll be surprised. Yes, they'll be very, 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 very surprised, because some people have inklings and things like that.
Yeah.
But it's even more than you can ever imagine.
I'm sure.
I mean, for goodness sake, even within our own country, the things that have been coming to light regarding some Hollywood stars and things like that's been popping up, that who would have ever dreamed, and things like that. You know what I mean?
It seems as though a lot of these stars think that because they're stars and they're rich and they're making lots of money and they can get away with anything they want. But we're finding out, no, you can't.
Yeah. See, this is like the precipice of what is to come. See how these things are rising up that we're being able to know about now and see and everything?
Yeah.
It's kind of like the curtain is being pulled back.
That's right. There's no hiding anything anymore.
There really isn't, Christine. There really isn't, right? And the other thing is, though, what I wanted to mention, since we had talked about Donald Trump so much, I just want to mention too, because I also watch Kamala's chart, and I find some interesting things there.
Well, you talked about Donald Trump's chart. Why not talk about her too?
Yeah,
Let everybody know what they're dealing with.
let me. Well, you know, I don't want to be disparaging. What I want to do is I just want to talk about a couple of astrological things that I see. Let me pop her up. Here she is right now. All right. So let's see. Current date. Okay. So actually, today is her birthday,
Oh, really?
isn't it? Let me see. Let me just make sure if I'm right. No, the 20th is her birthday. The 20th is her birthday.
Oh, wow.
The same as a friend of ours.
That's right.
But a different year. So you know that the stars are different then.
Oh, sure.
Right?
Of
Everybody's
course.
chart. Even twins have, you know,
Yeah,
a
they could be a
difference.
minute apart.
A minute
but
apart.
Their chart could be very different.
Yes, because of the degrees of the planets, right?
Uh-huh.
So anyway, here we go. Now, the reason that I say that I feel that Trump will win is because in Harris's chart, the planet Saturn is in her 10th house of career, her standing in the world, and Saturn is a restrictor.
Oh, no.
So I'm over here like, okay, so how could she possibly, how could that possibly work? You know, and then the other thing is, you know, how a lot of people say that she doesn't have a lot of confidence when she speaks and things like that. There's a reason for that. The reason is because she has a stellium of Virgo in her chart. So there's 3 Virgo planets here that line up, and they align, and they're pretty heavy duty, Uranus, Pluto, and Venus. That makes a person second guess themselves. And that's what goes on with her. And I think that's a real problem for her. So the one thing is, though, that I can say is that the Sun and Mercury, okay, but then we have a little bit of a bad wind going through there, is in the house of creativity. So, you know, in her campaign, she really pushes the joy and the, you know, all these wonderful things and everything. That's coming from that 5th house. I just, you know, now what I also find interesting is that that Trump and Harris are running against each other due to the fact that Kamala Harris's rising sign is Gemini, and President Trump
Is a Gemini.
is a Gemini, sun sign.
Uh-huh.
So, and here they are, like, you know, head to head. Now, as I mentioned before about Mars, Mars is going to end up going over her rising sign. You know, when all of that trouble, as I said, that we're going to have from Mars, it's in Gemini, then it's going into Cancer, then it's going to go retrograde. It's going to be going back and forth till next June. Okay. Back and forth between Cancer and Gemini. Well, she's a Gemini rising. That means it's going to be going back and forth over her rising sign. That's a big deal. That's a very big deal. So, you know, I got to tell you, I get a little bit concerned about that. Also, right now, as we speak, okay, the planet Mars is in her house of money. In her house of money.
What does that mean?
Well, I mean, I heard that she had raised $1 billion, right?
You think that's possible?
I don't know, because to see Mars in here, and it's going to be in there for another at least 3 weeks. So that means trouble with money, problems with money, arguments about money, So like if I'm doing a reading for someone and say, a wife and a husband, and I notice that Mars is in a very bad place as far as money goes, that means they're having arguments about money. You see what I'm saying? There's trouble about money. Now, for there to be trouble about money, and what I was talking about before, what's going to be coming out with the 8th house when Mars is conjunct the sun in the United States, and the uncovering of things, etc., etc., etc. It's just, I can't help but see these things. I feel that there's going to be some kind of trouble about money.
In the party, you mean, like that?
Something like that. There might even be arguments within there right now regarding money. I don't know, but somewhere in her life, she's dealing with some kind of issues of arguments regarding finances.
Huh. Seems to me, if that's the case, that there's no $1 billion hanging around.
I don't know. I mean, that's what they said. I have no clue. The other thing is, Chris, but now do you see why really I made that prediction in reference to Donald Trump is because he has lucky Jupiter that only happens once every 12 years, okay, in his house of his career, and that's opportunity, that's good luck, okay? And he has Uranus first time in his life. Now look, to have a second term as a president, that's a big deal, right? Especially to come back again. So that's why I predict it that way. And then Kamala, unfortunately for her, she has Saturn, which is the restrictor. It holds you back.
Yeah.
It holds you back. That's, yeah. Do you mind if I look at the United States real quick?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, yeah, we'd love to see what's going on with the country in general.
Okay. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay. Here we are. Yeah, see, the problem is that we already are feeling the influences of Mars in the 8th house for the United States. This is what brings everything up to the surface. Excuse me, but it has not become conjunct with the sun, which will be for the second time it will, because it goes retrograde. You see what I mean? And that second hit is going to be exact, and it's going to be after we were dealing with all these other planets. See what I mean? So it's going to align. See, you need to have more than one thing in a chart. Now, we have had the planet Pluto in the house of money, and you know how everybody's complaining about the price of things, right?
Oh, yeah, everything's gone up. Everything.
The trip to the grocery store.
That's right.
I mean, gas, no matter what you buy.
Yeah,
okay?
well, gas has been going down lately.
I noticed that lately by me, too.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot, though.
Not a whole
where
lot,
it was,
no.
but it's a little bit. But that doesn't
Little
surprise me right before the election, you know?
Oh, yeah, I guess that's it. Yeah, sure. Right after
Okay.
Zoom, right up.
Yeah, right, probably, you know. So, but the thing is, Pluto again. We finally will be rid of Pluto in Capricorn, because it came in to Aquarius for a short period of time previously, but then it went retrograde again. But now it just recently went direct. This is very important because it's in the house of money. And the other thing is that when Mars hits the sun, it's going to be in opposition to Pluto in the house of money, but it's going to be in the 8th house. So what am I talking about? When I was saying about uncovering all these things, there's going to be huge things that are going to be uncovered regarding money, the finances of the United States of America.
In other words, with that,
So leave it to your imagination.
Well, would that mean the individuals who live in the United States will be affected in their finances?
They're going to well, I am going to tell you this, until June, I really don't see a major turnaround as far as finances. It's like, even after the election, it's going to take a little time, you know?
Yeah.
My concern is that after the election, after the inauguration, which I hope is able to happen, okay? I'm serious about that because I don't like what's going
Well, it's
on
got to
around
happen sooner or
January
later.
20th.
If they try to
Yep.
thwart it on this 20th of January, it has to happen, period, you know?
It's just so unusual that the planets are going to be exact these days, you know? It's just so but what I was saying is that I do feel that after June, you know, after like the second week in June, you're going to see that everything is going to just lighten up financially. Peace in the world. You know, Christine, because we had peace in the world.
During the 4 years that Trump was in office, we had peace.
We had money too. We had money too.
We had a lot more going for us. People don't see it.
Well, you know, I mean, when a person is set one way or another, and unfortunately in the United States right now, it's like you're either one way or another. There's no, and that breaks my heart that people are not coming together and just, you know, being able to talk.
It's not a matter anymore of what's best for the country. It's a matter of what's best for certain people.
Yeah. You know, and I have a major problem of people that are billionaires and millionaires, you know, talking, especially celebrities, talking, you know, publicly about what they think politically. That isn't why they became a star. It's because we enjoyed watching
I
them
know.
in a
Look
movie
at all
or
these
on
people
TV.
that program the talk and this one and that one, and they're always sitting there cutting up Trump. Yeah, they don't realize how stupid they look. They really do. They really look stupid doing that because in the end, they're gonna all have egg on their face.
That happened once before, if
That's
you
right.
remember.
That's right. And
Okay.
you would
that
think
happened once
you
before.
would think they would learn.
I know. But, you know, I really feel, and I'm sure you're going to agree and add to this, I'm sure, that with everything that we've all been going through, it's so important to try to, you know, just really focus on ourselves a little bit and to bring an inner peace in some way, shape, or form. You know, like if you get upset with the news, you turn the TV off.
I don't even watch the news
No.
because it's all
Can't.
lies.
It is.
Lies, lies, all lies.
It is. I know.
Why sit there and listen to that
It
stuff?
scare the daylights out
I'd
of
rather
people.
watch a good sitcom.
Me too.
Because that's what that's all about. They're all you know.
Well, they have a lot of Christmas love movies out now.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? You can watch that too.
Watch them, the sitcoms, whatever.
It calms you down, right?
Yeah, it
I
gives us
know.
something else to think about.
Yeah, and you like watching metaphysical shows too.
Oh
like
yeah, I do.
do.
I do.
Right?
I do. Yes.
Is there any question you have for me, like of anything that I talked about? I mean, I talked a lot.
Well, you talked a lot and you gave a lot of information. It's hard to even think of a question with all the information you just gave. But you think that overall, after after June,
Yes. Yes.
the general thing with the country, the people will have a little bit more money, will have a little bit more opportunity.
And it'll build. The thing is, all of this is coming to a head. And one of the things you and I were talking about earlier, okay, and we're still in the midst of this, this super moon. Did you see that beautiful moon last night?
No, I didn't see it.
Oh, yeah, it's the Aries super moon.
Really?
Super full moon.
Will it be out tonight?
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
okay.
yes,
I'll
yes.
make sure I
And
take a good look at it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so, that is bringing things to a head. And also we've been in the eclipse season. Like in the beginning of this month, we had the Libra eclipse. So that brought a lot of things out too. Every time we have, the moon is what truly helps bring the truth up to the surface.
Oh, the moon does a lot.
Yeah, and the moon is what rules the sign of Cancer that we were talking about.
That's right.
And the moon is all about the emotion. And with Mars being in Cancer, as it goes back and forth between Gemini and Cancer, is what ratchets up all these emotions. So one of the things, I had this little something here that, if you don't mind, do I have another minute to be able
sure.
to?
Go ahead.
Okay. To bring some peace into people's lives right now, okay, there's things that you can do. So instead of feeling the fear, you should try to love more, okay? So when you feel fear about what's going on in the world, because a lot of people do feel very fearful right now.
I'm
Christine.
sure, and there's every reason to feel that way.
Yes, a lot of people feel that way right now. So then try to concentrate on something that you love, someone that you love. Concentrate on your family. Concentrate on your friends, your family, your loved ones, instead of allowing those fears to cripple you.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Also, try to complain less. Everybody is complaining about everything, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
everybody's cranky. And try to focus. Like, if you feel something really annoying you, try to shift your mind in a direction to something you appreciate. It's just really changing your mind. This is what we're talking about. And one of the big things is to judge less, because this is what's been going on between both sides, judging. And we don't have the right really to judge anyone. That's up to the Lord.
That's right.
Right? We're only responsible for ourselves. One of the things is, too, even though I've been talking my head off here on your show, is to talk less and listen more. Okay? And see, this can bring people back together again. Just as simple as this. If you feel sad, try to force yourself in some way to smile, because that actually sends a chemistry to your brain to make you feel better.
Yeah, I guess.
You
yeah.
know that, right?
Sure, of
I
course.
knew you knew that.
Especially if somebody tells a good joke or something.
Yeah, right. So we try to, focus on that. And plus, like, what I've been doing is I've been focusing on the holidays coming up, So I see that we're running out of time. I could just talk forever with you.
Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. All right. Well, you know what? It was a good show that you were going. Everything you said was very, very interesting and true. You saw what you saw in the charts.
I did.
And made your predictions, which is a good thing. Because last time you made that prediction, it happened, and then this time it's going to happen again. I believe that. I really do.
It just seems to look that way too, doesn't it? But I don't go by that. I go by what the planets say, okay?
Right.
What the planets show astrologically, scientifically. It's a backup.
Well, yeah, like you said, it's a science. It's not something that's being made up out of nothing.
No. I mean, because there's psychics all over the world, and some say that one person would win, and the others say no, that party will win. But Astrology doesn't lie.
No, astrology is right on the money.
No, it doesn't lie.
In the meantime, we've had a very good show, a lot of good information, and I am very grateful that Mary came back on the show again, and we will be doing future shows, I'm sure.
Oh, thank you, Christine.
Always a pleasure to have you. I tell you that all the time.
Thank you. Yeah, you and I just hit it off.
We do. We right from the
For many
start. How
years.
many years do we know each other? A good 10 years or better. right?
Brian would know. I think isn't it 15?
What's the date, Brian?
Go all the way back to when it used to be half an hour. 2015?
2015. Wow, it's going on 10 years.
More than that, Brian.
It was August 2010 she came on, so it'll be 15,
2010. 15 years,
15,
right?
15.
Oh, wow.
15 years.
Wow, hot
Yeah.
stuff. Time flies. Time flies.
I love you, Christine.
I love
Thank
you
you for the
too.
work you do. Thank you.
And thank you for coming on and helping me with that work.
Thank you.
In the meantime, everyone, I hope that you enjoyed the show and have a good night.
Good night.